Good morning. My name is Peter, and I'm a member of the Hyde Church community in the New Forest National Park, which in turn is part of the Avon Valley Partnership based around St Mary's Fordingbridge. If you saw my previous thought for the day, you might recall that I started with a poem by Robert Frost and the name Ahaz, which was mentioned and I knew nothing about. That in turn led to a search of the Old Testament, and in particular Isaiah, to find out who Ahaz was. Robert Frost is going to be involved again today, but at the end rather than at the beginning. Digging around in Isaiah brought home to me how little time I have spent in recent years with the early books of the Old Testament. I will confess to having read the Bible from cover to cover, but that was years ago and turned into a bit of a marathon, to be honest, with ultimately me getting simply to get to the end rather than the detail of things that I might have been reading. So, in the last few weeks, I've spent more time in the Old Testament, and I have followed Julie Andrews' memorable admonition. Let's start at the very beginning. In this context, that means Genesis, of course. Tradition credits Moses as the author of Genesis, but modern thought sees the book as having been written hundreds of years after Moses is supposed to have lived. Probably it was in the 6th and 5th centuries BC. So frankly, we don't know. But the way in which the first chapters are presented, detailing the creation of the world in 6 days, rest on the 7th, Adam and Eve, the fall, they all seem to me as being quite pictorial, as if the contents had been passed down through the generations in a descriptive, word-of-mouth sort of way, possibly by the early community elders or historians. So let's have a look at it. On the first day, God created light and darkness, day and night, and God saw that the light was good. On the second day, God created the firmament, heaven, and it was so. On the third day, God created dry land from the waters, earth and seas, and vegetations, plants, fruit trees, and God saw that it was good. On the fourth day, God created the 2 great lights in the firmament, the sun for the day and the moon for the night. Again, God saw that it was good. On the 5th day, God said, "Let the waters bring forth swarms of living creatures, and let birds fly above the earth across the firmament of the heavens." So God created the great sea monsters and every living creature that moves, with which the waters swarm, and every winged bird according to its kind. And God saw that it was good. And God blessed them, saying, "Be fruitful, multiply, fill the waters in the seas, and let birds multiply on the earth." On the 6th day, God said, "Let the earth bring forth living creatures according to their kinds, cattle and creeping things and beasts of the earth." And it was so. And God saw that it was good. Then he said, "Let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the birds of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth." God created man in his own image, male and female he created them, saying, "Be fruitful, and multiply, and fill the earth, and subdue it." And God saw everything that he had made, and behold, it was very good. So on the 7th day, he rested. And then along came the serpent, inveigling the woman into eating the fruit of the tree of life, and inveigling Adam to join her. And that was when the trouble started. And now, here we are, in 2022, having exploited all God's natural world for our own perceived needs and desires. And who do we have to clear up the mess or face the real possibility of extinction? Who is there left? Our children and our young people. We no longer live in an I'm all right, Jack world. And when I hear my grandchildren saying that they are very doubtful about the wisdom of starting their own families, I hang my head in shame and great distress. Is that the legacy that my generation is preparing to leave to our dearest children, grandchildren, and yet-to-be-borns? There is still time, we are told, but the need to really gird our loins and do something is now. Today. This minute. For tomorrow may be too late. And so in leaving you, I return to my favourite poet, Robert Frost, and arguably his best-known poem, The Road Not Taken. It sets us the challenge that we must take. Two roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry I could not travel both and be one traveller. Long I stood and looked down one as far as I could to where it bent in the undergrowth. Then took the other, as just as fair, and having perhaps the better claim, because it was grassy and wanted wear. Though, as for that, the passing there had worn them really about the same. And both that morning equally lay in leaves, no step had trodden black. Oh, I kept the first for another day, yet knowing how way leads on to way, I doubted if I should ever come back. I shall be telling this with a sigh somewhere, ages and ages hence. Two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less travelled by, and that has made all the difference.